So now we should have the files in the Mirth account. So we're going to log in as Mirth and use the Mirth password from the first video. And if we type in ls, you can see we have our installer files here, which is a package of files. So we want to extract those files first. So we're going to do tar xf and then mirthfiles.tar.gz. That's going to take all the files that's inside of that file and move it outside. Now if we do ls, so we have a folder called Mirth files. We can do cd to Mirth files, change directory into Mirth files, and ls-l to list the contents. Right, so we have the MirthConnect system and the Oracle 8 Java installer. So now what we want to do is we're going to install Java first, which is sort of a weird process, but let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to type in su hyphen, nothing after the hyphen, and press enter. And we're going to type in the root password. This is going to change our account from the Mirth user to the root user. Press enter. You can see we now have the root prompt. Now we want to go back to the Mirth folder we were just at. So we want to change directory cd to /home/mirth/mirth files. Press enter. Now if we do lsl, we can see we have the same two files from before. Before we install it, we need to install another package. We're going to do apt install binutils. And press Y. This will download the necessary files to run the installer. So now we're going to do dpkg-i Oracle Java 8 installer. And press enter, and then use the left and right arrow keys to select yes. Now this will probably not work. Yeah, you can see here Java common is not installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to let the system fix it. Apt fix broken install. And press yes, and this will start downloading all the stuff that it needs to have in order to work. This will take a little while. Okay, so now that it's done installing, we can exit out of the root account. You can see over here it says important to set Oracle Java virtual machine to be the default. Install this package. We don't need to do that, so we can ignore that. We just type in exit, press enter, and that, you can see it logged us out of the root account, and we're back to our Mirth account. So now if we do lsl, you can see that we have still the two files there. What we want to do now is we want to take the MirthConnect file and extract it. So we're going to do the same command as before, tar xf MirthConnect, and then press enter. So now we can do another lsl. We can see we have another folder called MirthConnect, and we can change directories into MirthConnect. Linux is case sensitive, so fortunately you can just type in uppercase M and then press tab, and it should fill out the rest of it for you. And then press enter. And we can do lsl. And you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but the one we care about is the MC service, which is an executable file. So what we want to do is we want to run this file and invoke the Mirth system. So what we're going to do is we're going to do /MC service. / basically just means you want to run the program in this directory. And at this point, it's going to want us to give it a command. So the commands for this are going to be like start, stop, run. This is going to control the service. This is just the way we interact with it. So we're going to do MC service start. And you can see it says starting MC service. And now what we can do is we can check with our web browser on our main computer to see if it worked. So before we do that, go ahead and type in IP space A, press enter. Now you can see here under ENP0S3, it may be different on yours, but you'll have inet underneath here. In this case, inet is giving me, it's my IP address for this virtual machine is 172.16.40.244. Yours may be completely different. but you just want to take a note of that because you're going to be using that to connect to your virtual machine, or to connect through your web browser to this virtual machine. Okay, so now we're going to access the virtual machine from our web browser. So we're going to make note of our IP address, 172.16.40.244, and open up the web browser. Type that in, :8080. Press enter. Oops. 172. There, you should see this come up. So what you're doing right now is you're using your web browser to talk to our virtual machine here. So now that this is running, we can, in our next video, go on to the web app version of what we're going to be doing through the MirthConnect administrator. For the most part, our Linux administration stuff is done. But if you're having issues with this, if you're not seeing it come up, make sure that the IP address is valid and it matches the one that's currently from your virtual machine. Also, make sure that your IP address or your virtual machine, if you go back to details, you can see the network adapter here is a bridge adapter. And you want to make sure that it is bridged. You don't want to use a NAT, you don't want to use internal, you want it to be bridged because it has to be able to talk to the outside world. If you're also doing this on a laptop like I am, you may have two separate instances, or you may have two separate network interfaces. For example, I have this Wi-Fi and then this Ethernet. So my laptop has a wireless antenna and an Ethernet port. So if you're plugged in and you're trying to use the Wi-Fi, it may not work, vice versa. But if you're using Wi-Fi only, like I am, you can just leave it with that. You may also need to check your firewall settings if you have a firewall running, or overly aggressive antivirus software may try and block it if you're on Windows. So check those things, make sure that it's able to work all right. You can also use the terminal for if you're on Linux or Mac, you can, or even Windows, it's the same commands either way. Just open up the command prompt, type in ping, and then the IP address of your virtual machine. Oops. 172.16.40.244. So I'm currently pinging the virtual machine. It's the same command whether you're on Windows or Mac or Linux. It's all the same. You should see it come up. If you don't, then there's some other problems that might be going on, but we can save that for a later time.